everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Healing Home. I'm your host, Michelle, and today we have a special early afternoon episode, and I'm really excited and pumped to introduce my friend to everybody, Ashlea Stinnett. And we're going to talk Bigfoot and we're going to talk other things, but Bigfoot's going to be our main topic of the day. But Ashlea has so much wisdom, so many experiences, so many insights to share that I'm super excited and honored to have her as a guest today in the Healing Home. And I know you guys are going to love her after this conversation as well. But before I bring her in, I just want to remind everybody, for all things Healing Home, you can go to michelleshealinghome.com. You can find my blog there, my herbal and natural cat care PDF. You can find my store, more information about me, more information about the show, and a big shout out to all the patrons out there and all the other supporters. You guys are awesome and very much appreciated. And one special thing that we're doing today is we're doing a giveaway. So this is Bigfoot Coffee Roasters. This is my favorite coffee in the area. They're in Stevenson, Washington. And my fiance Mario actually had the idea of giving away a bag of Bigfoot coffee today, because why not? In the spirit of what we're talking about today. So in order to enter the giveaway, all you need to do is put a comment below this video, and I'm going to pick a winner 48 hours from right now, and we'll sort out the details after that. US only, please, residents, because I'm gonna take care of the shipping on this one. So yeah, stick around for the giveaway. And yes, so a little bit about Ashlea. Now, I met Ashlea a handful of years ago through our good friend Christy. Shout out Christy. And we hit it off right away. We had a really nice gathering at our house that Ashlea and her lady came to, and it was actually a handful of years ago. And we hosted Alana Freeland, and that's where we kind of connected. So we've connected on the weird and alternative subjects of the world. But Ashlea, really at heart, is a Bigfoot researcher and enthusiast with years of personal experience connecting with nature spirits in the wilderness of the Pacific Northwest. She was recently featured in the documentary A Flash of Beauty, Paranormal Bigfoot, which focuses upon the supernatural aspects of Bigfoot and personal stories of people who've had life-changing encounters with the almighty Sasquatch. Now, I recently watched the documentary, and I want to recommend people check that out. You can find it on Amazon.com, and we'll talk more about that once we have Ashlea into the field. But without further ado, help me in welcoming Ashlea to the stream. Hello.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. And I so appreciate everything that you do, everything that you facilitate, and all the perspectives and beautiful conversations that you share with everyone and bringing everyone together into the Healing Home. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you, my lady. I'm so happy to have you. I'm honored. I'm glad this has come around. And, I'm grateful for you too, because you've brought so many other insights to my life. You've allowed me to broaden my awareness about Bigfoot and cryptids. It was an area of interest of mine before you came into my sphere. But once we started talking about things and we've had conversations about your experiences and your camping trips, the music you make, all the things, it's really cool. And so I'm really excited to introduce you to the community here in the Healing Home so you can tell your story and share about this wondrous creature that lives among all of us and is here, I think, for our benefit, really. And I think you would agree.
I totally agree. Thank you so much for that introduction. And yeah, let's get into it. I moved up to the Pacific Northwest with my family in 2010, and I had some UFO experiences in within my life as a child, all the way up until when I left. But I really wasn't connected with what that meant or the totality of what that experience was. When we moved up to the Pacific Northwest in 2010, it got really intense. And I started focusing in on it. It was like, these experiences are happening. These things are being seen in the sky. What are they? And I dove deep. and through an autodidactic learning and going out into the field, and not even having to go out into the field, just stepping out into the backyard, I was connecting and communicating on certain levels with ultra dimensional beings. Okay. Well, let's process that. Let's move forward with that. Let's be open to that. And that's what I did. And I continued down a path of learning and experience. And in 2013, I had my first experience with the Sasquatch. And I came to that experience already with the knowing that they were multidimensional, that they had a connection with the UFO activity, that they had these capabilities that we would categorize as paranormal. So when I had that first encounter, I was already kind of at that level in that exchange. And once I did have that experience, it was like, well, now I really have to go in this direction. They're reaching out in specific ways, and I hear the call, and I'm going to move forward on this path. So from 2013 up until 2018, I was doing that, and I was joining larger gatherings within the Pacific Northwest of like-minded people who were looking to connect with the Sasquatch and had that knowledge and understanding of their higher nature. And in about 2015, I found a YouTube channel that was called Squatching with Barb and Gabby, and it's Barb Shoop's YouTube channel. And she still has the channel, but it has a new name, Squatching with Barb and Goldie. Gabby and Goldie are both her dogs. Gabby passed away, and when Gabby passed away, the show got the new name with Goldie. And I absolutely highly recommend checking out her channel and the documentation that she's done over the past 10 plus years, from her front yard, from her backyard, from across the street in her small community of Greenwater, Washington. So when I was in search of other people who knew and understood the Sasquatch as a higher dimensional being and as a people, when I found her channel, I was like, oh man, these guys are legit. They know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. They're being honest. They're being truthful. And I became like the biggest fan because, it resonated so much. And essentially what the channel started out as Barb having a sighting, becoming open and aware to this aspect of reality, and then documenting kind of these smaller steps of connection. And then those smaller steps of connection moved into conscious camping in and around that area with a group of her friends, where it was a peaceful, they were looking for peaceful connections and a higher level connection with the Sasquatch people by these intentional camps. And then, people would have experiences, and then Barb would just, pan the camera around the campfire, and everybody would talk about what happened the night before or the day before. And it just got more and more intense. Like when you go and you start from video 1 and you go up to present, the veil is being lifted. So after I found her channel in 2015, around 2017 or so, we became friends on Facebook. And then in 2018, she opened up the group to new membership. And so I wrote my 500-word essay, and I sent it off as to why I thought I'd be a good match for the group. And I was absolutely luckily picked to join a camp out in 2018. So June 2018. And it's interesting, June 2013 was like my first conscious experience with them. Fast forward to June 2018, and I'm having the most healing, incredible, personal experience with the Sasquatch, like day one of that camp out with her. And what happened at that camp out led to a domino effect of personal healing that was facilitated by the Sasquatch and by the family of the Sasquatch who we are interacting with and who have come to have this beautiful relationship with Barb and really all of us. I've been doing camps with them since 2018, every single year. I think there was one year that I had a very demanding job and I only got out into the forest for one night out of the entire year. But every other year I'm doing anywhere between 4 and 8 to 10 campouts a year between spring, summer, fall. And I camp with Barb and then also kind of a more local offshoot of members of that group. And we hit up some different spots. And we've been going to these specific spots every single year. And the connection that we've made with the Sasquatch in those areas, just it keeps growing. It keeps intensifying. It becomes more beautiful, and the teaching never ends. It's like we think we're done. Like, holy crap, those experiences were the biggest ones ever. I don't see how that could be topped. And then we go to camp the next year, and it's like, what? Now we know all of this. Now we've experienced all of this. Now we've gotten on this level with them, and it just keeps getting better. So the documentation of that is on her channel. And this past year, at the beginning of 2023, I started documenting as well for my YouTube channel. I was like, I have to share this information. I've been doing this for a while. I'm sharing it within my circles and within my communities, but how can I grow this and how can I get this message out on bigger levels and grow those communities in the understanding of who they are for real? Because we get fed a lot of nonsense and a lot of garbage from a lot of mainstream sources and get pushed a fear-based kind of perspective about them. And that could be furthest from the truth, from what I've personally experienced and what the people that I go camping with personally experience. Does it have something to do with the fact that we honor and respect them and honor and respect the forest while we're there, and we don't bring guns and we come with compassion and love? Probably. We're having a different experience with them than someone who's going into the forest looking for some sort of body or, piece of evidence so they can prove something, or they're coming with fear and, wanting to shoot their guns. Like, they're going to have a different interaction with folks like that compared to this other way that we are really, really successfully using and abiding by, which is respect. They're people.
Yeah, dude. Awesome intro, by the way. Yeah. And I mean, that right there, what you just said here at the end kind of encapsulates my feelings towards life in general too. It's like when you approach even another human that's in this form with fear or disrespect or what have you, chances are you're going to get that back, or you're going to get some sort of resistance. You might not be able to crack some veil or whatever. So the fact that you guys are actively, going about it this way and keeping these things in mind, it's no wonder why they're giving you these more healing experiences, a positive message to relay back to all of us here on the other side of like, no, they're here for us, for our benefit as well, when we do the same for them. And that's one of the things too that I've always thought was really cool and fascinating. Every time I hear stories about Bigfoot is when people are leaving offerings and, doing that. And you can do this with plants and trees and all sorts of things, animals, fairies, gnomes, you name it, whatever you like to gravitate towards and work towards, you can do this. But with Bigfoot, it's really interesting that when you hear when people are doing these things, the activity increases around their home, or they're offered gifts back, in their own way. So what are some of the experiences that you've had in that sort of realm? And what are there any certain items that you guys have noticed that the Bigfoots enjoy more than others or are more receptive to?
Very nice questions. The gifting is amazing, and it's so precise and outside of just like five senses perception. It's like they know what's going on in here and will gift in association with thought, right?
Right.
So I'll give you a really cool example, and this is documented in one of my videos over on my channel. And this happened last year, and it's such a trip, man. We went out to the Blue Mountains of Oregon and Washington on the border of Idaho. That is a very, very special place for a lot of different reasons. And there's a yearly trek out to some specific spots to connect again with the same Sasquatch people who are in that area. And that was my second time out there in all these years, because it's a longer camp. It takes like 8 hours to get out there. And I was lucky to go a couple of years ago. And then this last year I was able to go. And the first time I went, we were actually at a different location than what they normally camp out. And then this year we were in that location. And that was my first time at this location. And so much happened. So much happened on all these different levels. It wasn't just Sasquatch activity, but we had orb activity, we had UFO activity, basketball size orbs in the treetops. Right, we had a red and a white orb that were going around to all of the camps, because it's dispersed camping. We all have our own spaces, and this was the first night as well, right? And
Wow.
I was like trying to sleep. It was so windy. I was in a very windy spot. I was trying to sleep. There's a lot to say about this, but I'll try to keep it brief. I opened my eyes inside my tent, and the entire place is lit up red from something outside. And I'm laying there, I'm like, what is going on? And there's no noise associated with it. It's just the pounding of the wind. The red light turns off, a white light turns on. The white light turns off, the red light turns on. Over on the side of my tent where the door was, there was like this crackling, like lightning looking light flashing across the side. And I took a picture of it. I didn't feel comfortable. Like, I was like really overwhelmed, but I didn't film, but I did take pictures of it, and it's in the video, and you can see this red light from me laying in the cot looking all around. But one of my neighbors, she was watching all of this too. It's happening for hours throughout the night. The first night, she ripped open her window. She unzipped it. She's like, I got to see what's going on. And she did. She saw these floating, massive white ball of light and a red ball of light hovering over the ground. Okay, cool. Like that's happening too. So that camp out at the very end, we had been gifted bouquets of flowers. This
Really?
area, oh yeah, this area has, just when we go in this particular part of the year, all the wildflowers are blooming, like fields and fields of Indian paintbrush and just stuff you've never seen before, and the whole place is just wild and beautiful. And so I was getting these bouquets that were being placed in specific areas around the tent. And it wasn't even freshly picked flowers. It was flowers that had been picked and hung up to dry.
Wow.
That had been wrapped, had been put together in a bouquet, hung up to dry, and then laid out. And at one point when we had seen these, and I had brought some other of the campers over, and I was like, check it out, like here's this bouquet, and here's this other thing, and all of that. as we were standing there during the day, the whole ground is flat, brown, dusty material, right? That we're on in this little campsite area. Another bouquet shows up at the feet of Arla, which is one of our elders in our community. And she had come up from Oklahoma and hadn't been in that area for a very long time. And as we were standing there, a bouquet appeared next to her feet.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like just out of thin air?
Out of thin air.
Whoa. And did anyone feel, was anyone like, you get like a sense or your hair stands up?
She did.
Wow.
We were like, what the, just amazing. So then, like at the end of that camp, there's this big tree next to my tent and a park bench, a picnic table. And I'm sitting at the picnic table and I'm just kind of looking around, and I look at the base of this tree, this mighty tree that's next to my tent. And then I look and I see that it looks like there's a knife that has been shoved blade down at the base of this tree. And then hanging off of this handle of this knife are 2 rusted wire hangers. Okay. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, what is that? What is going on? And I get closer and I start filming for my YouTube video. And I'm kind of just like talking out the process and trying to figure out what it all means. So here's some deeper levels. I have a tree in my front yard that I've been getting glyphs underneath at the base. Been getting communication, and I've been getting this communication when Barb's getting the same type of communication at her cabin 400 miles away. And another friend out in the gorge is getting other types of communication at the same time that I'm getting the communication underneath my tree as well. Okay. So I look at these things that are underneath the tree and I was like, okay, this is underneath the tree. This is the same way that I've been doing these glyph exchanges. I don't know with who, but somebody's making glyphs, and I'm feeling that it's the Sasquatch that I'm working with. And then there's such personal meaning to these items. When I love my knives, like I always have pocket knives. I always have multiple pocket knives. And when I go camping, I'll wear a fixed blade, big buck knife. And, I've got my machete and all of those things because I'm a safety survivalist enthusiast, and I'm always going to be prepared for safety and survival. And I'm always going to wear my knife on my hip. So I brought my friend Bet and her partner Rosemary to this camp, and I'm standing there, I'm looking at the tree, and Bet comes over, and they both had like incredibly beautiful experiences, and Bet was really honing in on this communication, this nonverbal communication that she was experiencing with the Sasquatch there. So I look over and I show her, I'm like, look, it's got this knife that's like, it's stuck in the ground. She's like, yeah, because you wear all your knives. They think it's funny. So they gave you a knife. They gave me a knife. And then I'm looking at the wire hangers, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Up until that point, for weeks back at home, I had been going to the Home Depot. I was looking at wire. I'm working on an art project. I was looking for the perfect wire to make an art project with. And so they gave me these wire hangers that were old. They were old. And it's like, what little treasure chest are they getting these things from? When I looked at the knife further and really investigated it, it's one of those, it's from Echo Forge, which the history on that company is really interesting because I delved deep into wanting to know everything about this knife. It was in perfect condition, wooden handle, like perfect. There was just a little tiny bit of rust on the blade, but this knife was from the 70s. And it was like one of those picnic knives, serrated edge, brown, wooden handled, very popular knives of the time. So where did they get that from? Did they hold on to it just for the exact, the perfect moment of potentiality that maybe they'd find someone who'd appreciate it on my level? Did they step back into the 70s when someone was sitting there having a picnic and just picked it up and brought it back into this time? I don't know, because they can do all those things. But it's funny, the gifting will occur in that fashion, where it's like they'll give us things that it's like they've got in a time capsule somewhere. I there was in that same area, another camper was gifted a bouquet of flowers again, and we found out that the bouquets were probably coming from one of the daughters of the main Sasquatch males up there, and that she really likes to give flowers like that. So on this other experience, Courtney, I believe it was Courtney, she received a large bouquet of flowers, and it was wrapped up in a paper towel that was absolutely pristine, but that pattern was from the 70s. So where did they get a paper towel and keep it for the last 50 years in a pristine condition? Or did they pop back into the 70s and pick up a paper towel?
That's where my mind is going. Oh my God. And I have to just say that Mario and I recently watched Back to the Future and Back to the Future 2, because we've been talking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I think that there's something to the time travel. And I'm not saying that Back to the Future is like accurate and 100% like a documentary or whatever. But when
Gives
you think,
insights.
what was that?
It gives insights.
It does, exactly. And that's, as we know, that's what propaganda Hollywood does for us, is it's sprinkling in these like big truths within the scope of entertainment or whatever. And when you get down to it, it's like, no, this shit's real. This is really happening. And that's the thing about the Bigfoot that has always fascinated me, is what seemingly is their ability to time travel and to almost be like guardians of portals. I don't know what you think about that. Or I've also thought that about Dogman. I don't know as much about Dogman as I do about Bigfoot, but I've thought about that as like the dog is the guardian of the gates. The dogs are on the moon card in the tarot, guarding the gates of basically the universe, or the gates in and out of this realm. And howling at the moon, the whole thing, the thought that the moon is maybe the first place we journey to after death. Is it a soul trap? What is the moon? We don't know. Are we supposed to be worshiping the moon? Who knows? But this like opens up this whole thing with Bigfoot. And I'd love to hear your perspective on the possibility of them being some kind of guardians, or are they messengers, or both, or what do you think about that?
Awesome points, all of that. And yeah, it's like they're having their own experience here. We have a fundamentally large historical record of them if we look at the different ways that they've been described. Same with dogmen, right? They were known as the Cenocephali or Cenocephaly, however it's pronounced. But that documentation has gone back for a very long time, and not just in fairy tale, but from sources that are still cited today because of their relevance and their distinguished interpretations of everything, philosophy of life. So they've been here a pretty long time. I've never had a sit down conversation and asked like all the big questions that I would love to do. Will that happen someday? At this rate, probably, because things are amping up. And Arlo likes to say, and I really appreciate this, they're like us in some ways, and they are not like us in some ways. And there is some aspect of genetic capability I believe Melba Ketchum with her genome project, where she's been able to receive a lot of different physical potential Sasquatch artifacts, and done the genetic mapping on that, and has found a mitochondrial link, but then on that other side, it's an unknown. They've been within, say, American indigenous stories and folklores and all of that. There's plenty from East Coast to West Coast, north and south. There's stories within all the people of the wild men and of the giants and of all of these the little people, all of these different beings that are residing in the enchanted forest. We have this memory of the enchanted forest for a reason. And if we're talking about a frequency-based type of environment where your surroundings are more coming from nature than in a city where there's been a manipulation of nature into boxes and stuff, right? Like, it's more free flowing in the enchanted forest, and therefore you're probably going to have some more experiences in there if you're open to those frequencies and to the beings who are residing in the different frequency aspects of nature. So the dogmen, again, there has been this historical documentation of them, and I've been told through people who have had the connections with them that they are guardians of the portals, and that they are these bouncer type of beings who are making sure only the right ones come in and only the right ones come out. And with the humans are mostly fear-based, right? Like, and especially if you see a big 10-foot dog person, a lot of I've listened to a lot of, like, these firsthand accounts on YouTube. There's like Sasquatch Chronicles and Dogman Chronicles or something like that. And there's a lot of interesting stories about them. And a lot of people come from a place of fear and they start shooting at them. And it's like, you don't do that with them, because they're really gonna like match that frequency, and they're not gonna put up with that, So there seems to be like a certain amount of aggression that's going to come from a dogman if you step out of line and do something disrespectful, But if you step out of line with the Sasquatch, it doesn't seem like, that gets matched as easily unless you're really screwing around. And they can emotionally manipulate you. Keep that in mind. They can emotionally manipulate you while you're in the forest and make you feel fear if you're not supposed to be in an area. And that could be for your own benefit, because there's a cougar over there that you don't see.
Right.
Or that, you're coming too close to their children and you have a gun on your hip and you don't know how to use that gun when you're overtaken with the fear, right? So they're going to make you get out of that area, and they can emotionally change you to be in a place of deep fear to get out. They can also take that fear away from you when they are having interactions with you and they are close. The energetic field that comes off of them, and that I have felt interact with my energetic field, that stuff's off the charts. It is off the charts. And it's different with each one too. Like, I've had some right outside my tent that their energy field was so big that I couldn't even formulate thoughts in my head to say hello. And that actually happened in Carson.
No shit. Oh, I love that, because I wanted to go into that, the fact that we live in the Pacific Northwest and we're in like a hotbed for this area. And I wanted to get your opinion on, why perhaps the Pacific Northwest is such a hub. And then also that, yeah, I mean, we're not in Carson, but it's the neighboring town to us.
Yeah.
And, hence the Bigfoot coffee giveaway and, the Bigfoot everything themes throughout Stevenson, Washington, which is just the town over. And we're in Home Valley, which is very close. And you've been here and have attested to, like me, of like, oh yeah, this would be a really great area for them. But like we were given an old newspaper from Stevenson, Washington, from our old friend Bud, who passed away a handful of years ago.
God
Yeah,
bless
Bud. Yep.
God
oh
bless
yeah.
Bud.
God bless Bud, man. I say hi to that man every single day. I carry him with me so close. He was
Totally.
he's like a grandfather to me. And it's so funny that he gave us this paper years before we moved out here. And when we moved out here, Mario's like, oh my God, remember that paper Bud gave us? And we pulled it out, and it's all these stories about people in Carson, people in Stevenson, with experiences, people who've been searching for Bigfoot. I mean, they went to like the administration, like the town center and stuff. The what do you call it?
The Grange.
Yeah, and they're asking people, what do you think? And it's just people giving their opinions and thinking, like one woman in particular saying that she has such a strong sense that Bigfoot like watches out over all who live in Skamania County. Like that is one of his and her things that they do here, and why they're here is to watch over the people that live in this area, which I thought was really interesting. And so when we talk about the Pacific Northwest, obviously, as you said earlier, there's people that experience this all over the place. And I would actually be curious about in other countries. I don't know if you are,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just everywhere. But when it comes to this area, what do you think it is that they're so drawn to out here? I mean, obviously it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's epic. There's a reason we're out here too, so it's probably some of the most similar reasons that we're here. But is there anything that you and your friends have thought about in that respect as to why it might be such a hotbed?
Yeah. Great question and great insight. And thank you for sharing the newspaper. That's super dope. I'd love to get eyes on all of it and read it up. I think even Skamania might. No, not Skamania, Skookum. So Skookum, there's Skookum Meadows up near you. Skookum is another word from the indigenous up in this area that it means like big man, big wild man. If something's like really big and kind of boisterous or whatever, like it's referred to as Skookum. This is a hotbed, but I can't think of a place that really isn't a hotbed. And it's like they're living here physically and they're having a physical experience, but they're also they're traversing from this physical aspect that we are used to, and they're going other places. If that's other like frequency aspects or levels of Earth realm or outside of Earth realm or whatever, they're doing that. And that means that there comes the ability of bilocation and going wherever they want. Because I've had, again, like the glyph activity in my front yard, that's not the only activity I've had at the home here in one of the biggest cities of the Pacific Northwest in an urban environment, right? So they can pop in and out wherever they want, and that connection, the connection that I feel that I have with them is something that I have probably always had my entire life, but it only like really started to solidify in 2013 and then move forward from there in those different ways. And it's most likely, again, like on that even deeper level of soul family, coming back into connection with them feels like coming home. And coming into connection and friendship with the people that I have who I go out camping with feels like I'm going home, like they are bringing us together it's like our connection is with them, but our connection with each other is just as strong and just as important, and how we all are learning and growing and becoming better through these connections.
Right.
So the Sasquatch are there's stories and folklore and all of that on all continents, and also that are going back for thousands of years, because there's depictions of them, as petroglyphs. So, and they're known differently in different areas. So in Australia, they're known as the Yowie. In the Himalayas, they are the Yeti. In the Pacific Northwest, they are the Sasquatch. In South America, they have like little Ewok guys. So in Florida, the Sasquatch down in the South have been described as much more lanky and tall and lanky. Yet the Sasquatch that have been described up in the Pacific Northwest are like absolutely cut linebackers with no neck and just like trapezius muscles from the top of their conical head all the way down into their back. There's physical differences to them, it seems, regionally, or where they're living in the different environments. But again, something that's it's like when one knows you, they all know you, and they know everything about you. They know you on a frequency level. They know you on a soul level. They know, like, they're reading the book of everything that you've experienced in your life. They know your future too, it seems. Because again, like, they'll give us gifts and they'll interact with us. And then it becomes apparent why that happened later on in the future. It's like, well, how'd they know that was going to happen? So
interesting.
Yeah. There and it's like, we don't know our past. We don't really know. We don't know where we are. We don't have these answers, right? Like, we don't know where we are. We don't know like where we came from, where we're going, what the cosmology truly is. Nothing has been, no answer for me is satisfactory at this point. I'm still searching. I'm still keeping my mind open to the possibility of what we're experiencing, except for kind of those larger truths of, we're children of God. We come here to heal. We come here to transmute. We come here to feel pain and to feel love and to conquer through this incredibly difficult place with higher understandings of love. And that's where they're at as well. And that's what they're teaching. They don't have divorce.
Right.
Like, when they mate, they do it with intention and with like full commitment for life. And they only bring life in when there is a full commitment to the raising of that being in the highest levels of love and adventure and beauty. They are in a fully balanced connection with this natural world, and are they here just for our benefit? I don't think that they're here necessarily just for our benefit, or as teachers, where they're just here to teach us or whatever. They're here to have their own experience and live this totality of a beautiful life that we can do in this place, and it has been done before. We're in an interesting place of transmutation on all levels right now, and I feel like we're raising the vibration and the bar for excellence, and how we can really build a future of beauty in a more copacetic, balanced relationship with nature and our neighbors and ourselves.
Here, here, man. That's beautifully said. And I would agree with you. I agree with like everything you said, specifically the the lesson why we're here, basically. Why are we incarnated here? And also just the fact that they too are having their own experience. And that's something that can be easily forgotten even when we are on a human to human level, that we can sometimes project things onto others and forget that, wait a second, they're on their own journey. Yes, am I interacting with them? Yes. Does it maybe involve me or affect me? Well, yeah, it sure does. But at the end of the day, they're on their own journey. So there's only so much we can do to even influence someone or help someone or do the same for ourselves. And I
Mhm.
think that, kind of going back to the beginning of the conversation, of keeping these things in mind and coming from a place of respect when dealing with, these other beings. And I think that that's like one of the most important things we can do. And I mean, you're proving this as we're going through this conversation, really, in my opinion. And I kind of want to also segue into your involvement in the Flash of Beauty Paranormal Bigfoot documentary, because nice. that's
Represent.
that's so exciting. And I really enjoyed it, and I thought that I particularly really love the beginning of the documentary. And I loved the whole thing, but there was something very special about the way they chose to introduce the subject and how they presented it to the audience. And I want to get your opinion and your thoughts and your experience on doing this project or being involved in it anyway. And if you want to go into what you share there, because it goes into orbs. And I do want to talk about orbs with you a little bit, because orbs have been something in our sphere too that we've experienced, and some of the things you say in the documentary about your experience parallel what Mario and I experienced, very much so. And let's just go into the documentary, and maybe you can just give people a little bit of information about it and also where they can find it too.
Awesome. Thank you for this opportunity. Um, so I got to participate in a documentary called A Flash of Beauty Paranormal Bigfoot. And you can find it on Amazon Prime, also Vimeo, but just hit it up on Amazon Prime and enjoy it, because it really, truly is. And I'm not saying this just because I know pretty much everyone in it, and I was in it too. It is the best documentary on the subject of Sasquatch ever, hands down, legit the best. And I say that because these are real people telling their real experiences from the heart and not over exaggerating. They don't need to, you know. And when you hear these stories, it's off the charts, like what people have experienced. And so this documentary came about after the filming of A Flash of Beauty Bigfoot Revealed, which was the first project of the team of filmmakers, which is Brett and Jill and Michael. So Brett, Jill, and Michael, they've been making films together, and they're just an awesome team. They connected with my friend Tobe Johnson. You can find his work under Owl Moon Lab. Search that and check out those stories, because they're phenomenal. So they got in connection with Tobe, and Tobe was like, yeah, let me introduce you to some people and some, awesome stories and everything. So they were able to gain some access into some specific communities of Sasquatch experiencers. And during the filming of that one, they kept on getting these wild stories that went into paranormal. And they were all like, they all had these similar things happening to them. And as a good filmmaker does, Brett and Jill and Michael did not shy away from opening up that subject, because it does get shied away a lot in this in a lot of the different communities. It's not something that's focused on, yet it's most prevalent within people who are having ongoing experiences with the Sasquatch. And so they were like, we have to focus on this. We have to we have to do another documentary. So when I found out they were doing this secondary documentary and they were going to focus on the paranormal aspect, I was like, I got to get in touch with them. I have so many stories. Let's do it. I want to support in every way possible because what they're doing is so important to this topic and documenting as they are. It's it's for the future. You know, it's for the future generations to look back at, kind of this brand new starting point where we are at in our, you know, human experience and connecting with them. This is a new chapter. You know, this isn't the Sasquatch of 1967 or 1850 or whatever. This is new. And although connections have been happening probably in the paranormal way all throughout history, here we are in these very specific ways, connecting and communicating. So yeah, I did the documentary. You can check it out on Amazon Prime. Also look for their YouTube channel because what they've done, every single person that was interviewed on that, you know, the interviews were 2 to 4 hours long. And my little clip was about 5 minutes, you know. So I told them a lot of stuff and everybody told them a lot of stuff. And so what they've been doing is releasing the full interviews from all of the people that they have interviewed for this project. So if you go to their YouTube channel, check it out because it's a beautiful, you know, kind of like full spectrum, not just coming from one perspective, but a full spectrum of experiencers and data gatherers, and the pictures that are created, they are enlightening. If nothing else, they are enlightening. So I'm thrilled that I was able to participate and kind of bring forth these new conversations about the Sasquatch, because we need to step away from fear. We need to get back into our hearts. We need to heal all the things that we have the capability of healing in this life, because it matters. It matters so much, not only for our present, but like, I really feel like the healing of ourselves now affects our ancestors and affects the future generations. It's a full domino in both directions. And when we do it, we get to encourage others in that energetic way just by us healing ourselves. And that like helps other people heal themselves. And that's ultimately what all of this is coming back to in my experiences of like encouragement of each other's healing. So, yeah,
That's great.
inside the documentary, what I talk about and what was focused on included an orb, and yeah, dude, like, what are orbs? What
Right?
are they? I have an idea, and it's just my idea. And in the documentary, we actually have some really great like scientific kind of, you know, true scientific, not fakey scientific stuff, but like some bigger quantum ways of looking at that. What's the quote, like everything's magic until you can figure it out, and then it's like, well, it's not magic, it's that. But like, yeah, like that's everything. Like this place that we're in really holds on to that energy and you can do things with it. You certainly can. You are the captain of your ship, and we can go in all these different directions. So the orbs, what are the orbs? I started when I in that 2010 to 2013 time period, I was learning about orbs, and I was I had this older point and shoot camera that actually took really great orb photography. So I was catching them everywhere. I was seeing them in real time through the screen. That also like kind of led to some places when I had opened my brain enough to see them with my eyes inside the house, right? Those were very early stages of it. So I knew that like these are existing outside of our visual light spectrum. right? We can pick them up with equipment that use ultraviolet and infrared. And if you happen to have some night vision goggles and an infrared spotlight, you can see a lot of weird stuff. And it's flying all over the place and it's conscious. So when I started having these experiences with the Sasquatch, it's like, okay, now I'm seeing these very physical, very, bright, shiny, white, crackling, amazing orb flying through the trees and coming into camp and inside of our tents. And again, they have this conscious aspect to where they can they know what we're thinking, and they are reacting to that thought. Now, is that like they're reacting to a chemical read, because when we think something, it'll send off like, the chemicals for whatever to fluctuate, and they can read that? I don't know. Or if they can really just read the thoughts. However it goes down like that. And so what is the orb? If it's anything, I think it's a form of travel. It's something that can be they can turn themselves into. There's this aspect to them that they can shapeshift. They can shapeshift into animals. They can shapeshift into orbs. They can cloak themselves. They can make themselves completely invisible, like the Predator style, which Barb Shoop has filmed. And if you go to her YouTube channel, you can see the video of that. They can do all of these things with their physical body and go into non-physical states or in between physical states, like this sphere of light. What is the sphere? The sphere holds all potentiality. It is the monad. It is the like all geometry can come out of a sphere. It's that perfect beginning of everything. So is that part of the reason why this shape is being used as a form of travel? Because it doesn't, it's not just the Sasquatch who are using this orb to travel. I don't think that when I was filming a bunch of orbs inside of a bar in Southeast Portland, that it was filled with Sasquatch. I think that it was probably filled with people, lost souls, people astral traveling, gnomes, who knows, like whatever. But this universal way of travel is incorporated and used by them. And to me, like, it seems like it's universally used with people who know how to do that, or beings who know how to do that.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. I love the aspect of the sphere that you bring into it, and it being the monad. And like, I think of an egg. I mean, what are we all created from? An egg. You know what I mean? An egg and a sperm, obviously, but what is it's the circle, it's the Ouroboros. It's that continuous cycle that goes. So that's really interesting. I love that. I haven't thought of it from that perspective. But that's really awesome. And I love how you speak about all this stuff. You speak very well about it. So just want to say, keep going, my lady, because it's freaking awesome. And the orb thing, and I don't want to give away your whole story from the documentary. So we'll just vaguely talk about about what it is, but the intelligence aspect of it is what to me feels so real. And how you brought up, like, whatever it is, whether they are literally reading the thoughts or our emotions or the frequency, there's something happening there that is exchanged. And when we had our orb experience, it was we couldn't see it with our naked eye. It was through a night vision scope, just as you were saying. So through the night vision scope, being tracked with a laser, I'm seeing the laser, Mario's following the orb with the night vision, and it is coming across the tree line, comes through onto the grass that we're on, and goes right through us. And it's just like, what just happened? And it was one of the most incredible experiences that we've had on a supernatural level, because it was so palpable, and it was just like this white light feeling that was like, oh my God, what just happened? But I think it's a signal to just get out of here. because it was like, it didn't feel scary necessarily, but it was one of those moments of, oh my God, what was that? I don't know what that was, but it did go through us, and it was very, very real, and just something that, it happened. And that's why too, whenever I hear these stories, and I think a lot of times when people hear a lot of these stories, if they're too skeptical or they're not open or it's never happened to them, it's usually just, okay, yeah, whatever, woo woo, whatever, which, but until you really experience it, or you know someone, or you talk to someone that's genuinely explaining their story, and you trust them and you know them, that's when you understand that there is something really going on here, whether it's our ancestors trying to connect with us, or it's Sasquatch, or it's, whatever, being that's trying to get our attention. It's so freaking real. And I love it so much, because I think that you're right, as you talked about in the beginning, that it is connected to, the UFO kind of stuff as well, whatever that is, and they travel that way, or, what have you. And so I love the orbs. I really do. And I feel like, a lot of people too, I'm seeing in the chat even saying, like, seeing them in cameras themselves, or being able to sense this, or, whatever. And I always look at it more of a protection aspect. There's something wanting to show itself to you. So keeping yourself open, but not so open that you're like losing sight of what's really happening, if that makes sense,
Absolutely. Like, I I got to keep one foot on solid ground and the other one in the other dimension, and keep that balance, because our like mundane physical experience here too also matters. Like, that is just as important as all of these other phenomenal, off the charts, crazy things that are happening in the forest, and on other levels with, again, not just the Sasquatch. It's not just the Sasquatch. And with the UFO thing too, when I say that, like, I started having connections and started seeing them, it wasn't one or two. I'm up to over like 1,300 at this point, and
Whoa.
since 2010. And I stopped counting, but really from like 2011, 12 up until about 2019, I was counting. And that last number, I think, was 1127. So it's up to like 14 or 1,500 at this point, because I'm seeing them every single time I go outside, and it's a clear, it doesn't even need to be a clear sky, but for, when it's clear, and I send out my intentions of gratitude. I say out a prayer. I send out a prayer of gratitude, first to God, and to all of the beautiful guides and beings in my life who enrich my life, and who are teaching me on these beautiful levels. And 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, I will get a response. And it's not just a tiny little something. It is very specific. And there is a back and forth. I can tell them thank you when I see them, and then they'll shine bright. And it's instant. It's instant. Thank you. Boom. So these watchers, they're watching. That's what I'm gathering. They're watching. We're like subject to all types of beings in this realm, right? And we can connect with the lower dimensional beings, and all the way up to the higher dimensional beings. Whatever you want to, connect with, when you start building that bridge, they start building the bridge, right? And it can be in really detrimental ways when we get caught up in addiction and possession, and all of the ways that bring humanity down, by connecting with the darker energies and the lower energies. I don't want to say darker, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, we have that same opportunity with all of the higher beings as well, that are interacting and doing things and having their own experience in this realm. And there is encouragement. Again, like, that's what I've experienced from from my connection with whatever it is up in the sky. Because again, I haven't had a one-on-one that I'm conscious of, but that connection is stronger every day. And the encouragement that comes, and also the compassion that comes. When we lost our kitty tribe, every single time we went outside to look at the sky after one of them passed, we'd have a huge flyover. And it was like, is that one of the cats? Is that someone else? You know, like, who exactly is that? But it was constant every single time. There was encouragement and compassion with these connections. And the same with the Sasquatch. Like, we have our own fears and stuff that come up when we interact, when there's an interaction. Definitely, like, those things can come up, but like, this education process and this connection process has also like evolved that aspect. Like, I don't have a fear when I think of them, you know, or when I'm thinking of being out in the forest alone with no light, you know, knowing that they could be right next to me. Like, there's not a fear there. And there shouldn't be, because, you know, it's like, just because we look a little different and act a little different doesn't mean we're not brothers and sisters, you know, like, we have a connection to them and they have a connection to us. And in it, again, it's not just them. We've been having so much fairy activity at our camps. And I had a massive connection with two fairies 2 Septembers ago on private land out in the gorge. I wasn't looking for that or expecting it, but they came through and they showed themselves in a very, very real way during a campout. That also included a frequency healing from a shamanic Sasquatch that lives there, who I've been like having a connection with and cultivating a connection with. And then also like a basketball size orb of light that came in through our camp. Like, all of those things occurred. And it shows like the diversity of who's out in the forest and who you can connect with, and that we're all homies, man. If you're in a higher vibrational light and you're moving through this world in that way, guess what? You've got a lot of homies on your side. And they're just waiting, man. They're just waiting. And also with our ancestors, and also with those who have all transitioned before us and who are lighting the way for us. This is what we can connect with, and what can enrich us and have us really move through this world with all of that, you know, applause and encouragement behind us. You know, it's good stuff.
Oh man, and I love your energy around this topic too, because the positivity of it, you know, positivity without being like delusional either, because obviously we know that there's like you can get all the way off this thing where, you know, you don't have the balance of the black and white, which is real. Like, we need to have the divine balance. But when you think of it this way, it just makes sense to me so much, because when you start to look at your life that way as well, that we're here to live our purpose, whatever that is, whether it's like right now, we're living our purpose because we're doing it. We're in the present moment, you know? And so things like that are very important to remember. And I just think that, you know, when you live that way and you have that perspective about your life, your ancestors, the Sasquatch, the forest spirits, they are going to be, as you're saying, rooting for you as well, because they want everybody to be doing that. They want people to be creating what's in their heart and living their purpose and, you know, following their heart and listening to that. And anyone who knows that feeling when you have something in your heart that you know you want to do, and you finally take the steps to do it, you finally, you know, erase some of the fears that are around whatever it might be that's holding you back from it. As soon as you step into that gear, it's like it's like a switch flips, and it just starts flowing. And it's almost like you can't stop it at that point, because the flow becomes so strong to remind you and propel you to continue to keep going. And that is one of the most beautiful things that, you know, I've kind of really just come to grips with in my own life, of coming from a place of scarcity in my younger years and always feeling like there was a lack, or always being afraid of where the next dollar is going to come from, or if it's going to come, or whatever it would be, people, thing, whatever, of being in such a place of that, and then flipping over and switching, which takes a lot of hard work to even maintain and stay in that space. But once you're in that space, you really do get to, you really start to see this stuff. And everything you've explained today is a testament to that, and that it's happening on the other side like that in the same exact way, and that they encourage, they're like the cheerleaders for it,
Totally. I'm feeling more on path, like you said, like, dude, whole other episode could be dedicated to the amazing, phenomenal, crazy stories that I've had just in like employment over the last like 14 years or whatever. And that was not going on my path. That I got all those crazy stories because I really wasn't on path, although every single aspect was perfect for that moment and all had purpose. But me doing what I'm doing now in some very specific ways is what should have been the focus all along, because it is that divine spark. It is that thing that I get to share with others. And in that sharing of our gift and of that unique spark that God gives every single one of us. It really seems at one point in time, many different times in our history, we can see at least like the architectural wonders of how in tune people used to be, how in tune with that spark and with that unique gift that they offered to this experience and to this realm, and how they were the ambassadors of light and the ambassadors of God in every action that they did, and in everything that they portrayed, and in the art that was created, and in the temples that were created, and everything was devoted to that. And we're not there right now, kind of,
right?
Like we are the result of like some generational trauma and some weird resets and some false history, and keeping us in some very specific ways of control through finances and education and job structure and all of these things. And it dims that light, and we become part of machine mentality of this world that encroaches upon us all the time from all the different aspects. And that's a teaching tool. That's a learning tool. And congratulations for breaking through, and for every single person who remembers their divine spark and offers that up, because it's like the way that light grows is through the sharing of the candle and sharing it with other people. So here we are, the children of generational trauma and just like crazy mind control and abuse and neglect and all of these things that permeate the human experience, unfortunately, right now. But we're still finding that spark. We're still moving away from the machines. We're still moving in these directions of the heart, and we are sharing our gift. And I am more in tune with that every day, because people like you ask me to come onto your show, and I get to share this information. If I just get to talk about Sasquatch for the rest of my life and do the different projects that I'm doing right now, I'm a happy lady. Like, I would love to do that. And I know that the path is being set up for me to do that, because that's what I'm putting my energy into more than anything else right now. And when you do that, again, that bridging, when you start building that bridge, like that bridge gets built and it meets yours real quick. God looks at you and says, you're coming back into your light. I'm going to help you. I'm going to show you some of the magic that's here. I'm going to open your heart just a little bit more. And then you're going to open it even more. And then we're going to walk together in some really fucking amazing ways.
Oh man, you're giving me chills over here. And I just got to say, and I'm not just saying it because, I mean, I'm witnessing it, but over the course of the years knowing you, even watching you, even what you are doing on social media, then with the documentary, then you're here and I'm seeing you posting more things about you being invited on shows and talking about this. It's happening. You're doing it. It's going. And so I foresee that for you, that you are going to be talking about this, for the foreseeable, for the rest of this lifetime, because you have such a connection to it, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's allowing you to open your heart and look at what's happening. It's all happening, man. It's just like, here we go. It's like the living proof. So dude, I think it's beautiful and it's great, and I'm so glad you came on to the show. And as we start to wind down, let's talk about your journals and your journal project. And I also want you to shout out your YouTube channel again. And I'm going to add it to the description after the show as well, so people can check it out. But what's up with your journal project and the upcoming eclipse?
Thank you so much. Thank you for everything. This has been an absolute pleasure and absolute delight. And I feel like a better person now in this moment than even like before the interview, right? Like we got to grow together a little bit in this, and it's been incredibly enjoyable. And thank you to everyone who's tuned in. It's very much appreciated. And together we do these things. The journal project is really cool. I've published 20 different theme-specific blank journals through KDP. And if you go to Amazon and you look my name up, if you look up Ashlea, this is a trip. So if you look up my name right here, my name's spelled interestingly, and it's not as popular as the Ley. Amazon's going to want to change it to Ashlea Stinnett with a Y, and it's going to bring up, dig this, another author who's writing books about Appalachia cryptids.
No shit.
Yeah, he's like a dude in Kentucky, and he's got like all of these awesome books. And I'm like, I've got to figure out how to interview this guy so we can have an Ashlea Stinnett interviewing Ashlea Stinnett about cryptids.
I love that.
So if you put quotations around my name and spell it correctly, it'll bring you over to my KDP author page. And then from there, you can see all the different journals that I've published. Some of the journals I've used the photography from my intentional camping. So I've got some incredible footprints and some structures and glyphs, and then also just like some of the most incredible, beautiful nature shots ever in these gorgeous places of the Pacific Northwest. So I encourage people to document their walk with Sasquatch. It's important to document these because there's more to unpack later on. And you can forget in the moment of having like a really crazy big experience. You might forget some details. So write those down and revisit and unpack what those experiences are, because there's a lot of us out here who are having experiences. And again, it's not just Pacific Northwest, it's all over. So the journal project is really cool because by purchasing a journal, you can also help a new project that's happening in April of me traveling from Oregon down to Oklahoma for the total eclipse. And I'll be in the path of totality, and I'm going to document the entire trip to and back on my YouTube channel, which is Crypto Cryptid 1487. That'll take you to my my YouTube channel. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm staying in a haunted mansion.
Oh, you would.
I'm staying in a haunted mansion. I'm also staying out in the middle of the New Mexico desert in a very, very squatchy area. And then in Oklahoma, it's also very, very squatchy as well. And so like all of those stories and experiences, come on over to the channel. You know, we're going to be doing live videos and stuff all along the journey. It's a 10-day adventure. So to help with the gas prices and everything, if you purchase a journal, then you can help in that way, make this this possible. I got to see the eclipse in 2017, and it blew my mind. It was one of the most phenomenally weird experiences I've ever had. A lot of things also like secondary to the eclipse happened. And again, that's like a whole other episode. But
Do a whole episode on that one too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So in 2017, I was like, I don't know where I'm going to be in 24, but I'm going to be at the eclipse. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And I didn't even think it was going to be possible up until about a month ago. And then it did become possible. And then that also like really fell into that time frame of me lighting my candle and going with that path. So it did open up, and I was like, I can make this happen. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to bring the tribe together. If you purchase a journal, you can get a really awesome journal with a Sasquatch footprint on it to look at, and also help fill the tank. I have one of the covers. It's a footprint, and it has 6 toes.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. So,
dude, I love that.
It's good stuff. So the YouTube channel is Crypto Cryptid 1487. Go to KDP, and I'll send you the link to that. Maybe that'll just be easier.
Yeah,
but also
do
pick
that.
up that guy's books too. I'm sure he's got some phenomenal stuff about the Appalachian cryptids.
Oh, definitely. Dude, Ashley, this was great. And there's, if you have a little bit longer, there's a question in the chat. Jason Lewis, who is a always around at the Healing Home. He says, what is your birthday / month, not year, i.e. January 01/02? I'm interested in your ego card in the Cards of Destiny. Is it okay? It's okay if you don't answer. It's a weird question. So if you feel like answering, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't have to.
But thank you, Jason. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I just
I
don't
get it.
feel comfortable with that on the stuff.
The internets.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. Well, dude, I want to encourage everybody to check out your stuff, get a journal, because I want to watch you go to the eclipse. I really want to see this happen. It's really cool. And I love that. I love hearing that you said you lit your candle, because that is what it's all about, I feel like. And that is ritualistic in itself. It's like our own sacred ritual to just lighting a candle, even if it's the simplest candle. I always think about how powerful that is. So to know that you're just looking at it that way and you've lit your candle and it's glowing bright, and I'm really grateful to be witness of it and be within your sphere. And I'm so happy you came on the show, and we will do it again, because I know that we have a lot more to talk about, and there's many directions we can come into, and I'd love to maybe even plan it to have you on after the eclipse, and then maybe you can compare and we could talk about 2017 versus 2024. What was your experience? And I bet people here in the chat and who are listening, who will listen when we're not live, will want to hear it too. So if you want to plan to do that, we can talk about that off stage too. But that'd be a really cool episode.
I love every aspect of that. Let's do it. Like, that's going to be so much fun, and there's going to be so much to talk about for sure.
Oh, dude, I already know it. Yeah. And I mean, the things that people are saying about this eclipse, just even like on an astrological level and stuff. Yeah, it's going to be a big one. And there's no way that you can not have like a visceral experience watching it when it's in its full totality, because the way I described it to somebody who asked me when we were able to see it, because it was, we went to Salem, Oregon, which was in the area of totality as well. And I told them, you know what it was like? It was like witnessing my friend give birth to her first child. That is exactly when I looked at that and it went in totality. I was like, oh my God, that was the exact like comparison I had. It has its own energy because it's its own thing, but it is that on that big of an epic, life-changing level. That is what I described it as. So I look forward to hearing what you have to say about what you feel when you were down there.
Totally. I'll tell you the response that I had when I was in the path of totality in 17. I was in Monmouth, and we were in this big open field, and I had this Native American drum that I was drumming, and I was, looking up, We're all like doing our own thing. And when it happened, I just started screaming.
Oh.
I just started like screaming at it and just like,
well, some sort of birth was happening then.
It's
Nice.
what felt most natural, that's for sure.
That's awesome. Oh my God. That's so great. I have one last funny thing about that. When it's more of a Normieville experience, but our good friend who lives down in Salem, she said, they were outside in their front yard watching it or whatever, went into totality, and it was like the moments after totality, someone turns on their freaking leaf blower. It's just it's like straight up Normieville to the max of just like, okay, it's over, back to normalcy or whatever. It's just super funny to me to think how, disconnected some of us here are, but then how connected some of us can be to these phenomenal once in a lifetime things, and just thinking it's kind of like, it reminded me of like a movie or a sitcom of just like, whatever. It's super funny, but it reminds me that it takes all kinds, and to have compassion and to just know that we're all on our own path, as we were talking about. So,
and have fun, man. Like,
yeah,
like,
point.
Don't forget that this realm holds fun. It holds that space for having boisterous, loving, fun adventures. And if I've learned anything from the Sasquatch, and one of my most favorite aspects of them is their absolute dry, beautiful dad joke humor.
Ah,
Absolutely the best humor possible. And it's a humor that no one gets hurt from, like it is that pure higher vibe humor, wry and dry humor. And it always reminds me, like, we're in a good place. Like, this is a fun place. We can have so much fun. And even with a leaf blower going off, that's hilarious.
I know, right?
That's funny.
It's super funny. I'm like, oh my God, that's perfect. Yes, that's a great reminder. Thank you for the fun factor reminder. That's great.
Absolutely, dude. Thank you so much. I so appreciate this.
Yeah. Oh man, me too. You're welcome. And I wish you all the best, and just keep going. That's all I got to say. And thank you again. And we will talk soon, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, you as well. I'll see you on the flip side.
Sounds good. All right. Bye, Ashley.
Bye-bye.
All right, y'all. Gosh, that was awesome. And I say this every time too when I do an earlier afternoon show, that I love doing earlier afternoon shows. So anyway, I always ask the guests like what times work for them. Like if it doesn't work at 4 p.m. or whatever, we switcheroo and whatever. And sometimes it's almost like when it's a switcheroo, it feels really awesome, and there's like this extra boost of energy. So thank you guys, everybody, for hanging out. The chat was awesome today. You guys, freaking great. This was such a good, awesome conversation. I knew it was going to be. And I love talking about this subject. And there's so much more to explore. Please go check out the documentary that Ashley was featured in and had a hand in helping with, A Flash of Beauty, Paranormal Bigfoot. It's a really great one. And go to her YouTube, check out her links, all the things. And support her because she deserves it, and she's doing a lot of great work. Again, as I said in the beginning, we have our Bigfoot coffee giveaway that's going down today. So all you have to do is enter a comment down below this video. And if you do that, I will enter you into the giveaway. And 48 hours from today, I will pick a winner, and I will send you this bag of delicious Bigfoot coffee from Stevenson, Washington. I don't drink coffee that often and anymore anyway. People who've been listening to my show for a while know I was a barista for many years. I love coffee so much, but it is one of the things that I've had to, really be cautious with when I drink it, because I can easily slip into that habit of like having it every day. And for whatever reason, it just doesn't sit well with me anymore. But when I have coffee, it's Bigfoot, because it's like a special treat. It's almost like this very special experience because it's so great. And they roast the coffee right there locally in Stevenson in really small batches. It's delicious. And I did sample this one today. This is their Colombian. It's a medium roast and it's spectacular. It's really, really good. And I would say there's chocolatey notes to it, but it's got a berry high note to it. So if you like medium roast coffee, I always brew my coffee as like stovetop espresso, so it comes out a little stronger. But if you did pour over of this, it would make a really lovely cup of coffee, just black. I mean, if you have cream or whatever you add to it, it's delicious too. But this as just a nice black coffee, it's wonderful. I really love it. So enter that giveaway if you want to try the Bigfoot coffee. It's really great. As always, I do have updates for you guys if you want to stick around here. And here we go. I'm going to add these to the screen. As always, michelleshealinghome.com for all things healing home. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. As I always say, you can just find all the information you want about me, what's going on, the podcast, store, what's updates, products, blog, you name it. It's all on thehealinghome.com. As always, special thank you to all the patrons out there. You guys are so awesome and appreciated. Chance, Sarah, G, Liam, Miri and Hank, Erica, Moonlander, Mary, Louie, Logan, Mickey, Doreen, Debbie, Natasha, Mary Beth, Nausicaa, Stephanie, Charlei, Peter, Elise and James, Rachel, Trisha, and Vanessa. Thank you so very much. Patreon.com/thehealinghome. If you'd like to join us over there on Patreon, you can also become a member for free. You don't have to pay if you don't want to. It's totally good. Totally understand it. But any support and all support is very much appreciated by me and Mario. We are a joint team over here. So let's see what's going on with a handbook for herbal and natural cat care, still available. It is my ebook. I'm so happy about it. It really has been helping a lot of people. I've had a handful of people reach out to me with questions about cat care, and I point them in the direction of this handbook because it's really a great introductory guide to start introducing herbs and natural remedies and proper food to your cat. And you will see a difference in their health. I mean, it really does make a difference. Just like when we start taking better care of ourselves, you see you see differences, you notice differences, you feel better, you have better energy. Same thing happens for our pets. So you can check that out and get that on my website. Full Moon Offering newsletter number 41. I'm all sold out of the hemp and jojoba magnesium cream, but I do have a few hemp and honey bars of soap left. Up on the screen is my current menu, so you can see what's going on. I'm going to be releasing my newsletter coming up here on the 24th, so that's the Saturday. There will be some new offerings coming at you guys. I'm really excited for this one. I'm always excited for the newsletter. It only comes out once a month. You can sign up for that on my website as well, and it's a great way to just understand and know what's going on, what I have to offer, what my remedies are, any recent appearances, what's going on with the podcast. It's just a nice little update, and people who have been wanting to know about my products, it's just a really great way to know what I have. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that does sign up and has been a member of the newsletter, because your support has been so awesome and greatly appreciated, and it's keeping me really motivated to continuously create new products and offer them up to you guys. So super fun and very much appreciated when the support comes through. Next week on February 27th, my lovely man Mario Garza of Symbolic Study is going to come and join us here in the Healing Home, and we are going to be talking about esoteric sun symbolism. Now, really excited about this because Mario is actually going to be doing a presentation on this coming Friday called The Rising Sun, Esoteric Solar Symbolism. And so he's going to be doing his presentation on Friday, and then he's going to come on to the Healing Home on Tuesday to either continue the conversation or probably share insights that he gets in between Friday and Tuesday, because knowing my man always continuously is getting downloads and updated thoughts about his information. So we will be rounding out his presentation from Friday on this coming Tuesday on the Healing Home at 4 p.m. So you can come and join me and Mario for that chat. It'll be super fun. Symbolicstudies.com for all things Mario, as always. He too is working on something behind the scenes that he's going to be offering up really soon. I'm super excited for him to be offering this, and so is he. So stay tuned to symbolicstudies.com on all the channels that you like, wherever you can find him on social media as well. And with that said, we are back here. And I appreciate you all very, very much. This was a really great, lovely episode. And I look forward to all the next ones coming up here. February has been quite the month over here, and it just keeps on rolling. So thank you guys for all your support and hanging out. I'm loving doing the podcast as always. And it really, when we talk about lighting our candles, following our hearts, following the path, I really feel like I've done the same here with this show, and it really continues to just prove itself in that way. And I just want you guys to all know that I really appreciate you hanging out and all the support you guys have been giving me and us. It means a lot. And I just, really excited to be assuming this role as a host of the Healing Home Show and continuing all the work I'm doing with herbs and plants and all the other things. So thank you guys so much. And until next time, take care out there, and we will see you all very, very soon. Cheers.